SDN Communications and its member-owner broadband companies comprise the most powerful network not only in South Dakota, but the entire region.
We've been doing that for 20 years as SDN.
CEO Mark Shlanta has driven much of that industry growth.
The members take fiber into the deepest corners, farthest corners of the state of South Dakota.
His drive, his passion for delivering broadband everywhere has accrued 50,000 miles of fiber optics and growing. Even in the toughest geography where few other companies venture to bury fiber, the rock-hard granite of the Black Hills. Shlanta surrenders to no rock, no problem. From an early age, Mark Shlanta demonstrated interest in technical fields.
I can remember getting a science kit, Christmas 4th grade, Christmas 5th grade, somewhere in there, going to class, and we had to talk about occupations, and a scientist is what I picked.
He came by it naturally. His father taught pharmacy at South Dakota State University. His mother, a beloved pastor, gifted him with his communication skills and compassion for people. Mark spent his formative years in Brookings, a perfect place to grow up.
Absolutely. Ride your bike anywhere in town. It was just a great place to know your community.
So small that a future governor lived just down the street. Mark's early driving days put his character to the test when he cruised down a recently seal-coated street.
My parents had a station wagon, rear-wheel drive. Mickelson's kind of lived at the end of the curve. I think most of you can probably figure out what happened, but I gave it a little goose coming around the corner, get the back end to drift a little bit, and I went thump over the curb and right into some small trees, but nonetheless trees of George Mickelson.
The future governor provided the teen grace because Mark had already demonstrated promise through community and school involvement, especially sports, including cheerleading and swimming. Mark finished his high school career at Lincoln High School in Sioux Falls. His swimming plus aptitude for math and science took him to the University of Missouri-Rolla for mechanical engineering and a master's degree in engineering management. He spent the next 10 years in Missouri as an engineer and network planner for several companies.
So I did a lot of 4-party to 1-party upgrades as a young engineer in small communities.
A chance meeting with then South Dakota Network's original CEO, Rich Scott, pulled Mark back to South Dakota.
He called me out of the blue and said, I'm going to be retiring in a couple of years, and I need to have someone come in and work with me as my number 2.
Mark and his wife Peggy seized the opportunity and moved to Sioux Falls with their 2 children. Just as their family would expand, so would SDN, which was a different company in 1998.
Lots of paper files. I remember lots of paper files. 12 to 14 employees. Today we're about 120, so 10 times that.
The transition from long distance to broadband provider made the difference.
I look at SDN from that proverbial one-trick pony, which is centralized equal access back in the early 90s, to what we have become today in terms of the connectivity across a wide swath of land, the scalability, the quality of the services. It's a remarkable story and one that Mark deserves a tremendous amount of credit for.
An encounter with another governor marked a tipping point for Mark and SDN when Bill Janklow wanted to connect the schools.
We brought him a solution, and didn't meet with his liking. So I remember I got a phone call from the governor telling me how much he disliked the proposal that we had brought forward.
The young CEO called his board president for advice.
And he made a comment, it's like, well, it sounds like you gave the governor a good listening to. And I didn't know what else to do. So I gave the governor a good listening to. But he said, call the governor back. Tell him we're in, and that, frankly, starting that project off on a good foot with Governor Janklow probably was, one of those big stepping stones in terms of our industry getting behind solving statewide problems.
Soon, every business needed connectivity. Some grew in parallel with SDN.
It was a time when technology was changing very quickly. We were building out our call centers around eastern South Dakota. They were our provider for much of our data transfer information. So that's the first I met Mark. He was a visionary, someone who we really partnered with as our company grew and as he grew SDN.
The young CEO soon found himself with a seat at the table with other powerful business leaders.
I got to be in conversations with Dana Dykhouse and Miles Beacom, John Porter, Kelby Krabenhoft. We'd talk about some of their troubles, talk about some of their successes. The stories were always fascinating to me.
From them, he learned the importance of community involvement.
We came together one of the first times for a community activity to co-chair a capital campaign for the Boy Scouts. I really enjoyed working with them on that.
14 years, I was a pretty active Boy Scout leader. All 4 of my boys went on to become Eagle Scouts.
Mark estimates he guided 50 boys from his troop onto their Eagle Scout awards. And like the Eagle Scout he is, he pursued getting involved in a bevy of local efforts to improve the community. Avera Health's Board, Bishop O'Gorman Catholic School Board, and Forward Sioux Falls, which included envisioning Foundation Park.
And I think we could all understand the strategic positioning of that industrial park on the northwest part of Sioux Falls, but it took funding and it took people to be able to articulate that vision, and Mark led the way with that.
At the same time, he expanded the economic opportunities for SDN and its members across South Dakota and the region. He often was out front of the group.
Yeah, I don't have enough fingers to count that probably in terms of the number of times, either as a board member or a member in general, where the initial reaction would be, wait, what? We want to go where?
They have told me no.
Then you look at the connectivity for mobile wireless, the healthcare system, state government, county governments, all of those different things. I think you could make a pretty good argument in terms of SDN and Mark somewhat single-handedly, not only connecting the entire state, but quite frankly, connecting the entire region. That's just professionally one snippet of why I think Mark would be very deserving of this award.
We've had good success.
But his favorite achievement?
Proud of that facility.
The first locally owned large-scale data center, which will double in size soon, a project that will finish under Mark's successor. He announced in 2021 he'd be leaving, earlier than he'd like, but a 2019 cancer diagnosis has him looking at new goals.
I'll say fighting not an uncertain future, but one that's timeline I don't control. So let's, while we can, while those opportunities open up, let's take advantage and go somewhere. We enjoy traveling, certainly with each other. Everything's always some level of exploration.
And number one, he's a great business leader. He was able to lead a terrific team of people at SDN Communications and their member organizations through a period of transformational change in technology. Not easy to do.
I want to emphasize that word fun. If there was one thing I enjoyed about Mark, boy, he always has a ready smile. He's ready to go into any tasks we do, and makes it fun. Somebody you like to be around.
I'll say friendly, but also forthright, honest. Trust is a huge factor when you're a CEO with 17 shareholders who all know your name, have your home phone number, your cell number, know your wife, know your kids, all of those types of things. Trust is a huge factor. It is in any CEO position, but I think even more in this type of environment. And I'm positive, I can speak for our organization and myself, but I think I can speak for the entire SDN membership when I talk about our level of trust in Mark is really off the charts.